boys and girls, as we awake from a space-age journey, being put to sleep while things hit the world in a game made by id Software. Yes, the id Software behind Doom. I didn't do a logo flash for Doom because we all know what it is. That game was ported to your left pinky toe and like the back of your butthole. We all know what Doom is. But this whole game starts out that we're playing and you're getting in your little cryopods and the world's in torment because we need to survive as a species. We need to make it to the next generation on our space-age spaceship that feels much like Halo. This feels like Halo. This feels like Halo with asteroids. This whole opening section of this game. And I know what you're thinking. You haven't even said the name of the game yet. Well, screw you. I hope an asteroid hits the Earth. Oh, wait. Look. One's hitting the Earth. No. We're all gonna die. Oh, no. Just kidding. This is all happening in a game called Rage. A game that was long forgotten about, and with good reason. Now, you start this game, like I said, basically how you start a Halo game every time. And it's iconic in Halo. In this game, it just feels like out of place, especially when you open the doors and you're like, oh wait, I'm in Mad Max land. That's it. You open the door and it's just Broken City. Now, this would have a lore if games like Fallout didn't exist, if movies like Mad Max didn't exist, if a game about Mad Max didn't exist. But like even this section where this guy like gets you and he gets shot, it feels generic, and that's kind of a running feature right along in this game. It's just generic. It does suck too because like this whole opening section when this little buggy shows up and it's like, hey compadre, get in. It's voiced by John Goodman. You know John Goodman, the guy from like 10 Cloverfield Lane and also the Roseanne show. But like you're in his buggy, he's got a little bobblehead of the Doom guy and you're like, yeah, I know you guys made Doom, but you guys also made this game and this game kind of sucks. It's kind of terrible. And when you're riding in the buggy listening to John Goodman, it's like tricking you. This game is like tricking you right at the beginning. You're like, this game might be pretty good. I know it feels kind of generic, but I have a feeling you're gonna win me over, John Goodman. I mean, bro, Steady has a voice that sounds about like how leather smells. Just perfect. It just is, it's like, he's like the white Morgan Freeman, but fat. That's John Goodman for you. So, I mean, when he's talking and I'm hearing Sully from Monsters Incorporated telling me to go kill people in the wasteland, I'm gonna go kill people in the wasteland. I mean, he seems trustworthy. I mean, I don't want to be stuck in a bunker with him, but I mean, in this scenario, I'm kind of liking him, and he kind of gives me my first gun, even though the gun sucks. He gives me this pistol that is ugly, and one thing I start to notice when I'm using this pistol, one, it's ugly, two, it doesn't seem to do any damage. Why am I playing a shooter made by id Software where the shooting sucks? That was my first, like, inclination of this game, and it's like, why does this feel worse than Doom 3? Like, even with these set pieces that's trying to trick me into enjoying this whole opening section, I was like, okay, I'm seeing some cool things, maybe this guy's gonna be the antagonist, and then you, like, deal with him really quick. Everything you have to deal with in this game is, like, Fetch Quest City. It's like, oh, you want to go do a fetch quest? Oh, we'll do a fetch quest. Sometimes we'll put something cinematic in the fetch quest, so it doesn't feel like you're doing a freaking fetch quest. But the whole game boils down to go down hallway, shoot people, go do fetch quest. I know I said fetch quest like 75 times, and you're at this point saying, I'm going to click off of this video. Well, don't do that. You should subscribe and comment, and even if you're going to click off, comment that you clicked off. But this is basically, I'm telling you about Rage, and if you click off, I might get a little raged. I might have to get a little mad, and I don't know what I would do, because I'm not like a crazy person. I'm not like goddamn Wings of Redemption. I'm not gonna like throw my controller. I mean, this game wasn't even good enough to throw a controller over. It's like, oh, you have a shitty pistol. And what really makes me mad is everybody has better guns than you in the beginning of the area, and it's like, oh, maybe I should pick up one of their guns. But you can't. You can't pick up their guns. Even though this game has like a ton of different weapons and stuff, like Borderlands, not like Borderlands, but it has a bunch of weapon variety, it won't let you pick up the better guns off of your enemies, which is really annoying. And the whole highlight of this first area was I went and talked to this one chick that was super hot. Somebody put way too much time into her character design to go for her to just tell you can throw boomerangs at people. I was like, oh, You're the boomerang lady. And it doesn't, like, any of these characters that look interesting, it never really elaborates on them. You meet them once, you stare at their, like, weirdly sexy abs, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna throw a boomerang for this chick, and then you never talk to them again. None of the characters freaking matter in this game. Nothing matters in this game. This game is just like a ham sandwich, but instead of a ham being in the sandwich, it's Borderlands mixed with Fallout, with a little bit of Halo sprinkled through it. It doesn't feel like any of id Software's prior games. Other than maybe the weapon designs kind of give you like Doom 3 vibes, but other than that, it just feels like a generic piece of shit. Every part of this game, like this little flashes, everything feels flashy in, but it's not flashy. It's boring. I mean, it's cel shaded to make you feel like Borderlands, and the world looks like Fallout, and nothing really interesting is happening. Like I said, most of this game is freaking fetch quests, and you spend so long with this pistol, and it sucks, and you just get your ass kicked most of the time, and then you shoot your enemies like 757 times to constantly run out of ammo. And the only cool thing that I found when you get like smoked, like right here, I'm gonna show you me getting killed. You get this really cool like death thing. I thought this was cool. I thought this was one of the more innovative things in the game. This is a fun little mini game, and this would be cool if you got to do it more than once, right? If it was like a BioShock or like, I don't know, a lot of other games have done this. Prey's a good example. Prey 2006, where it like you get to do it multiple times and it keeps you playing in the action. It keeps the game progressing. No, you get this once, and then if you die, you get and you didn't save. Oh no, because they didn't really add a good checkpoint system into this game, so you get yeeted back to the beginning of the level. And right at the end of this whole area where you're hanging out with John Goodman, and this is just the beginning of the game. This isn't like, whoa, 15. I'm skipping to like halfway through, and now you're getting the cool weapon. No, this is still early game, and you get this crossbow that sucks. I didn't even really put much footage of me using this crossbow in because it sucks. It was such like, I have an anger against John Goodman now, and like he's lost his weight, and I want him to get fat again because of this crossbow. It's garbage. It's worthless. It's not even fun to use. It's less enjoyable than watching like a mukbang video, and those make me literally want to throw up. And that's how I felt using this crossbow. So eventually I do go and buy myself a machine gun, and it sucks too. How did you make an AK-47 terrible? Like, it's called an assault rifle because I don't understand why they couldn't. It's like assault rifle 74. And this whole little area here seemed like it was going to be interesting. I'm going to find this lady, and I find her like strapped up to the goddamn ceiling, and I'm like, oh cool, I'm gonna save her, and I'm gonna get some cool dialogue, and it's gonna feel like I made a difference in the world. Nope, she's dead. She's just dead, hung up there. Like, okay, interesting, I guess. Like, I've already explored this area, so you're sending me back to the same goddamn area for the 1800 goddamn time because I need to explore it more, even though I've seen every inch of it. I mean, it's like, it's not even like a cool area. It's not like a hot chick where I'm like checking out every crevice, you know. I'm really looking into that hourglass figure. No, it's like I'm getting CIA propaganda shoved into my eyes because they're like peeling my eyeballs back and say, look at it. But another big feature of this game is the driving. Now the driving in this game is actually pretty cool, and I was like vibing with it. That was the only thing that was better than Borderlands, and I didn't get a ton of footage of driving because it's basic driving in a game. You drive around, you shoot things. I mean, you can play Borderlands and see the same thing, but this game has better functionality than a Borderlands. That's about it. The one cool area I did start was this one. I mean, this had the characters, this had the art style. I mean, yes, does it look like it was ripped straight out of Borderlands and feel like it was ripped straight out of Borderlands and really not feel original at all? Yeah, but it was like cool enough and like gave me enough good vibes, and I was like, I mean, I'm here for it. I want to do this. I want to enjoy your little TV show game because this is like The Price is Right if you were trying to get murdered and were murdering. That's the whole premise of this fat, gross guy's game. And I just wanted to show you how gross he was and how there's a spinning monkey with blades. Like, that was kind of cool. I mean, yeah, you see stuff like this in Borderlands all the time, or any sort of Rockstar game. This feels like that. It's just generic as shit, but I mean, it's the good generic as shit. You want to be there for it, but the fact that you're in this little game show and the whole thing just kind of boils down to shoot people in a square room. And yeah, you have like cool things like throwing your boomerang, and there's like cool moments, but the fact that every enemy takes 4,700 shots, I mean, Riley Reid hasn't taken as many shots as one of these enemies. I complain about Spider-Man being spongy. These guys suck. I mean, I'm constantly... What's the point of a shotgun if the shotgun doesn't really do anything? Like, I'm constantly just knocking people down. It's like I'm shooting with sandbags, or I'm filling the shotgun shells with dried semen, so it's just poofing out of the tip of the gun. Nothing's happening of relevance. Now, it may sound like I hate this game, and I really don't. It's one of those games that I can put a podcast on, or like a deep dive into some lolcow on in the background on YouTube, and just brainlessly shoot away. And at the same time, that's fun for a little while, but the fact of the matter being how annoying it is to shoot people, I can think of 1,000 other games where I can do the exact same thing. Like, one example being Borderlands. Borderlands has cooler enemy design. Like, the coolest things you'll ever find are these giant monsters. And you feel like you never really get to see them. You just get, like, one occasion where you fight these giant mutants, and the rest of the time you're fighting generic raider, or generic zombie crawly thing, or soldier guy. That's really it. It's soldier guy, generic raider, and crawly guys. There's one section of this game that has like a cool mutant stuff like this, and that was the best section of this entire game. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here because I wanted to highlight one of the early boss fights kind of in the middle of this video just to show you how shit it was. I ran out of ammo, right? I had like 4 guns. I was running through this area. I ran out of ammo. So then I fight this guy who's literally shooting him like a machine gun, an LMG off of the back of this car, but I'm out of ammo so I can't shoot him. But he sends like one guy every snooze fest like shitberg, and I punch him, get 3 shots, and then shoot the guy, or 4 shots, shoot the guy 4 times. And I did that for like 15 minutes. It took me 15 minutes because I was out of ammo. Not to mention the load screens in this game are just atrocious. Especially for the game's open world. And I put my open world in quotations because it's really just 2 roads that go... or one road that goes one direction, and you go further along it each time. You really don't get much exploration. It's like, drive the same road. And you'll see it right here, because I put this race section in to really give you an idea of what this road looks like. It's this straight section for the whole game. Now, it's cool at first because you're getting attacked by different cars, and it feels like you're a better Borderlands. But really, you're just driving back and forth all the time. That's the whole purpose of the cars. It feels more like something to break up the shitty combat encounters and drive a car. That's it. You drive a car to break up the shitty combat encounters. That's the whole reason you have a car. Oh, and not to mention you do little side quests for people. But now that we're doing here, another little area that I got into that I found that was kind of annoying was this whole RC car area. Now, it was kind of interesting because I'm in a little different of a biome, and it felt like I was doing something, but at the end of the day, it boiled down to a fetch quest where I go inside and shoot things. And every single section turned into one of these, and it's stupid. And I fought an armored guy, and the game was already tedious, but you know what makes everything better when you're having a tedious, spongy game? Add a more tedious, spongy enemy that eats bullets. Like, look how many bullets this guy is taking. He doesn't have a health bar, so you don't know how good you're doing. You're basically just pumping bullets down the lane. It's like watching a Sasha Grey video where she's getting back pumped by an African-American gentleman, but like by a bunch of different ones, and each one of those guys is like a different bullet. But she's never finished. She always wants more. She's always signing up for more of this. So when I fight these armored guys, that's what it feels like. Honestly, the regular guys feel like one of the videos, and then if you put her on like a compilation, now I don't know if there probably use compilation. There's a lot of degenerates out there, but playing against one of the armored guys is like a compilation of that, except for less entertaining because you don't have the arousal factor. And there's even some quests where you literally drive, talk to a guy for 2 seconds, and then drive back. That's the whole premise. Like me, I sat here and I was like, ooh, am I going to get lore or anything? No. Okay, I'm just going back to my goddamn car to go drive some more and feel like I've accomplished absolutely nothing, because this is rage. Except for the only person who's raging is the gamer, not the gameplay its actual self. Because instead of it being a fun, dynamic gameplay experience, what it is driving on a road and sometimes getting cool combat encounters, which you can skip all of these encounters. The only thing that keeps you with engaging with these other cars is every once in a while you get these little side quests that you pick up from a bartender, which means kill a certain amount of enemies. That's it. That's the whole premise. But anyways, we're getting on to the most interesting aspect of the game. Now, this area is deep in the city, and you got to go to this hospital to get, like, some sort of something. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, King Jiffy Coats, you couldn't even take the time to remember what you're supposed to get? No, because that's the whole gameplay. It's all fetch quests. Though the only reason this gameplay section I care about was because it was interesting and I saw like a variety of combat encounters. I start this combat encounter avoiding a guy shooting rockets at me, a giant mutant. I was like, this is cool. Look at this guy. Look how savage he is. And yes, is he the most bullet spongy goddamn thing to ever live? Yeah, but he looks cool at least. This is the id Software I care about. The people that can make cool enemies like this. But for the rest of the game, you really don't get much of this. This was like, if the whole game was this little section right here, I would have vibed with it. And this little machine gun here is the only gun that I found that actually can counteract the sponginess of the enemies. Not the AK, not the pistol, not the crossbow. The rocket launcher basically does jack and shit. But yeah, this whole section, I fought 2 cool mutants right off the bat, and I'm like, oh shit, this is getting real. I actually have to, like, try? I mean, I don't really have to try because all the guns suck. The reason I have to try is because I have to avoid him so I don't die because none of my guns do any damage. It's like shooting him with a Nerf dart, and you're like, oh, but my nephew has Nerf guns. Yeah, your nephew would probably do a better fucking job against these monsters than I was able to do with actually functioning weapons. I don't understand why I never feel like I get any better. Like, I get a shotgun, and the shotgun's like, oh, I'm gonna pepper him with semen, and it's not gonna actually do anything. And I'm like, that's stupid. Kind of fucking lame in my opinion. And the sad thing about this whole thing with the guns not feeling like they do any damage is the way they feel when you shoot them. It feels good. I mean, every gun works the way it's supposed to. In the way it sounds, in the way the gun feels like it does a big boom, but when you're seeing the damage output it's doing, it is nothing. And that sucks, because when you're going through a lot of these cool areas, doing little puzzles, interacting with the environment, I'm like, this could have been a fantastic game if you would have had some originality to it. In this one area, I felt like had some originality when it came to different enemy designs. Like, you fight, some of these guys are like these big bloater dudes, but they're not bloaters, they just pull off pieces of themselves and throw it at you and also charge you at the same time. Like, that's cool. You pick up beer and stuff, but you don't need health. You're mainly just scrap it for money, which I thought was way cooler than just filling up my item load. But, like, look at this guy. He's just, like, eating things off of me. And, like, there's ooze dripping from the ceiling, and everything's grimy. I was like, this is cool. This is something that I would remember. I will remember when I play Rage. It's just the rest of the goddamn game is not this. It's generic soldiers, it's generic bullshit, and nothing feels original. Like, the whole sewer section was actually better than the whole game, and that's weird. I mean, there's YouTubers who hate sewer sections. I'm thinking like CV11 or whatever, Civvy or whatever his name is, the guy who does like boomer shooters. He always makes a sewer count. This is one of the few times this little sewer mission, I kind of skipped from the one area to go to a sewer mission because I really wanted to show that was one of the fun areas of the game, because at least it added some sort of dynamic difference to what you were doing and not just the same boring destroyed city crap. I mean, it's like, come on, dude, you could have done something a little original. I mean, I go from the cool hospital to a cool sewer to back to just the same 2 recycled areas. It's just generic as shit. And what's the sad thing is, yeah, it takes you to all these generic areas where you fight these generic enemies, but it's like when you do get to go somewhere like the sewer, you're like, oh, cool, and then you never go back. You just don't. But, like, and the sad thing is, too, is midway through the game, like, not even midway, early in the game, you get this really cool boss fight, this really dynamic, and you get a rocket launcher to deal with him. You shoot him in the chest to piss him off so that he's like, I'm gonna smush you. I'm gonna fist your butthole. And it's like, hey, man, calm down. He, like, grabs the building, exposes his brains, you shoot him in the head with a rocket launcher. And that's cool, that's fun, but you never have another moment like this in the game. It really just takes all this cool stuff, and it feels like they really crafted a lot of these areas early on, and they're like, this is what we want the game to be, and then it was like, well, we don't have time to finish it, so we're just going to throw in generic guys with guns, and then make them have way too much health. And you can drop the difficulty, but it still takes as much bullets to kill them as it did when it was on hard. But now the big difference is, instead of you dying in 2 shots, you take as much bullets as they do. So now you're all spongy. It's just sponge punch factor. It's like SpongeBob McFuckpants. That's all it is. And it just kind of, when you have these moments that it's like, oh cool, I gotta fight this giant orc mutant thing, and then you go and you finally get through the game and you meet this like authority class, because it has all these sort of classes, not classes, but factions in this game that don't matter. They don't really have any intrigue. You get like some dialogue about it, but you don't really get any intrigue about it. And you find something out sort of interesting, and you never really find out who you are, or why you were in the space station, or why everybody wants you. It just kind of forces you through these hallways to fight these guys, and you eventually meet these run into soldier guys that all of your guns don't work on. Basically, I found 2 guns that work. This machine gun and the shotgun with rocket rounds. Like, those are the only things that do anything. Like, the rocket launcher can't even break this little silo to open a door. The machine gun breaks it faster. Like, think about that. Why is that a thing? Headshots do nothing when you use the sniper rifle. You gotta shoot them like 6 times in the head. You use the rocket launcher. It sometimes feels like you're brushing your boob against them, and they feel uncomfortable. Yeah, and it might be sexual assault, but it really doesn't hurt them in a way that like is gonna kill them. You know, it just might catch you a charge. And believe me, I've dropped tons of games in my day. I've played games longer than I should have, and there's games that I've played that a lot of people didn't like and I loved, and I thought maybe this would be one of them. This game got kind of a mid-reception, and I'm like, I love id Software. They can do no wrong. No, they did wrong. It's this game, and it's not bad. It's not like terrible. It's not like Redfall where it's just fucking garbage and it feels like that game bent me over and then like molested me. No, this game just kind of exists. It's middling. The only thing I found to like counteract the sponginess is 1 gun. And the only thing that was really a highlight of the whole experience was the vehicle combat sections, but you don't feel like those are necessary at all. And the only reason you do them, like I said, is these weird side quests where you have to kill a certain amount of enemies. And the first car you get is garbage, but you quickly remove that car to get a better car, and you're like, oh, okay, so we're going to have some cool combat things. And it's like, no, not really. It's kind of side quest material. And when you're done with that, you can race if you want to. This can be a racing game. And I'm like, but I don't really want it to be a racing game. And you fight yourself because you're like, well, I could do the racing and it could be a good game. But then I feel like I'm looking over the fact that 70% of the rest of the game kind of sucks. It's kind of terrible. And the fact that only 1 gun does any damage is kind of a slap in the penis. I mean, the fact that you get 1 ammo type with the shotgun that actually functions well and kills people is kind of insane. And when you are doing these fetch quests and picking people up, you don't feel like it matters. You don't feel like you care. Like, I'm saving a resistance leader right now, and I thought this would be interesting because I was intrigued by the resistance. But really, their whole reason for doing things is like, oh, they're bad. We need to stop them. And I'm like, well, could you explain, please? Could you give me any sort of lore? And it's like, bad guys. The bad guys are being bad, and they wear cool soldier costumes. So we need to stop them because they have cool soldier costumes. And I'm like, okay. At least I have a rocket shotgun sometimes when I can get ammo for it. Other times I'm basically just shooting everything 475 times. Like, did you see that guy land on me? That was just a kind of a cool break in the game that I got. One cool glitch, one would say. Some glitch material, and you're welcome for that because he stunned himself in the air, and it wasn't like the biggest glitch because this game actually functions pretty well, even though I don't like the combat. But at the end of the day, what can I say about Rage? It's a generic Borderlands Fallout ripoff made by an iconic shooter company who couldn't even make the shooting fun. And I know that this whole video has been that, and normally I do better deep dives, but this game just kind of fucking exists. And the fact that I only found 1 gun that actually felt fun to use out of like the 6 that I got halfway through the game was enough for me to never want to play this game again. Well, I don't know if I'd be that harsh. Maybe I'll give it another chance and actually finish the game one of these days, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. For right now, you get half a game review, and you can go find somebody who finished the game and who has that much time in their life, who doesn't work a 40-hour-a-week work week, because that is not me. I am not wasting any more time on this game. At the end of the day, it felt spongy, it felt grindy, it felt unoriginal, and a ripoff of a billion other games. But subscribe to my channel, like my content. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment, whether it be angry or happy. Catch you guys later.